Hello and welcome to another exciting Kerfuffle panel webinar, and we are delighted to invite back Mr. Robin Arnold of the 22 Group and Property Stream. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
And we're also joined by Alex McBurney. He is the Creative Director at Property Stream. How are you doing, Alex?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
And a familiar figure on your screen, a legend in the property market, is myself, David. No, hang on. Our very, very welcome guest, Mr. Matt Nicol, who will need no introduction at all. Matt, I'm going to start. My first question will be, I've heard that Alex and Robin walked through your door for the first time sometime in 2019. And I think at the time they came under false pretenses. They were there to pitch for a new website, but they effectively came out and said, hey, why don't we do this for a brand? So my question to you was that like a sort of a welcome piece of advice? Because you didn't necessarily go out there looking for brand advice. You went out there looking for a website. And how did you take that?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, so we were in that kind of process of having a few come in to pitch for our business originally for the website, as you mentioned. It served its purpose up to that point, but I didn't really feel it was hitting all the marks we were after. So 22 Group, one of the companies that we invited to come and see us. In fact, I think we didn't expect them to come and see us at first, but they did. They travelled down from Manchester. There was about 4 or 5 of them that all came in the room. And I actually liked the fact that they didn't just think, well, let's make that Nicol & Co logo work and, you know, put a website together. They actually thought a little bit further into it. And you are right. What they came out with was much more than just a website. And it's carrying us forward today, to be honest. It's something we've been very proud of ever since.
That's excellent. And I suppose in terms of brand identity, colours, like a football team almost, they're key. They're part of the things that your staff come to sort of and your customers, they support those colors. They instantly, you become recognizable. You've got a very strong brand presence. If I were to think of Nicol & Co, the first color that comes to mind, generally speaking, is a rather royal purple. And you guys didn't walk in and try and reinvent the wheel. You've kept that, but if I might say, it's slightly classier version of the original. Is that fair, Robin and Alex?
Yeah, so when we turned up, it was never a case of we wanted to completely reinvent the wheel. It was taking what he has currently, and we understood that his brand was well established in the areas that he worked in. So we just wanted to mature it. So we stripped away the parts that we felt were unnecessary. We darkened off his purple to give it a bit more of a sophisticated feeling. And then we proposed like a different illustration style that he can use to give him a bit more diversity in there. So we are moving a little bit away from that now, because as we go, Matt, we continually try and improve and keep you ahead of everyone else. So we're moving to a bit more of a photographic-led style at the moment, but it's really stood you in good stead, hasn't it? And it's gave us a lot of assets to work with over the past 2 years. Yeah,
definitely. And because we've been trading for like 9 or 10 years, it wasn't really a need to move away from purple, but it was just a better purple, as Alex said. And it was, you know, it's the subtlest thing. So I chose to be Nicol & Co estate agents as a company, and therefore on everything it was always Nicol & Co estate agents. But Alex and Robin, they weren't blowing smoke. They just said, people know what you do. You don't need to say estate agents at the bottom underneath your name anymore. It's just those little bits that, I mean, of course, it means you don't have to get a load of new branding stuff. It was worth the expense. And yeah, we haven't looked back. Our boards, everything about us now, it looks that next level up. I wouldn't have said we were kind of EasyJet before, and we certainly were punching above our weight and getting on all the right instructions. But now on reflection, looking back at what our boards used to look like, they were very much me 12 years ago, trying to get myself off the ground, didn't have big budgets for marketing or any of those bits and pieces. And at, you know, 9 years in, it then meant we had the chance to spend the money in the right areas.
If I would have told you 12 years ago you'd be sat at a desk with a branded water bottle, you would have said, I'm crazy, right?
Wouldn't have believed you.
Look at where we are today. Robin, it's clearly Christmas already in the Property Stream office there. I don't know what you're doing to us. This, by the way, was recorded very early in November, but Robin just gets very excited about Christmas. Robin, you guys do much more obviously than just a website or just simple branding, but you can also be a constant presence for those agents on a sort of retainer basis, to assist them with social media marketing and so on. Matt is somebody that you provide a full service for. What's it been like to work with Matt? Because I reckon, knowing what I know of Matt, and knowing I've met him a couple of times, and we've shared a classroom for a whole day once at a mastermind, but I know what he's like with ideas, and in terms of bringing his own ideas to the table. Is it helpful to work with an agent that comes with their own bag of ideas?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a real game changer working with Matt and agents and clients who are that forward thinking, because it's not always the case. So it's very collaborative, and he comes with us to ideas, and it's worked so well because it's that sort of full suite of services. So the website, the brand, the ongoing marketing. So I think it's really getting the best out of us, because we've always had those three offerings, and it just means everything's consistent. Matt's working with the same people who know the brand and can make sure it's consistent across all the media. But also, what's phenomenal about Matt is he's always looking to get ahead and do things that are different, that help him stand out and be innovative, and he's never sort of scared to try something new. And that's what we try to. We update the homepage on the website, and all sorts of sort of really specialist sort of campaign ideas that are really innovative and very different, and it clearly makes a difference. I mean, I'm going to be really cheesy now, but we had some incredible sports stars up on the stage at EA Masters last week, and for me, Matt is one of them. But for a estate agency, he really does, ahead of the game. And I saw one of the quotes was about incremental changes: get this right, get that right, and get that right, and then it all combines to make something really special. And I think that summed it up for Matt as well. He's really got his head around all levels of his business and his marketing, and it really makes a difference.
I guess for me, one of the things that really works working with Matt is that he'll come with his own ideas to the table, and we can help evolve them. But if we know that something's not going to work, he's always happy to listen. So it's a really collaborative thing where we can say, Matt, we really don't feel like this is going to work, and he'll actually listen to you, which probably means that we go through far less rounds of amends and bits like that as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find that we're working with a client, it can be that they're insistent on they want it like this, even though we know it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And you can just turn into a monkey that's just moving the mouse around and doing what they ask, but it's not always the best solution for them.
I think I was one of those clients once upon a time ago, Robin.
You were, David. I remember it.
I was. And do you know what? It's the worst mistake I ever made. I should have just been a little bit more open to it. But let's face it, and now we'll come back to Matt and stop talking about him like he's not in the room. But hey, Matt.
That was amazing. In fact, you can go back. I'm going to watch that.
It turned into a Matt Nicol testimonial lunch there for a minute.
That was
enough for us, Matt.
Matt, it's fair to say that if you were to sort of take the expansion of and the growth of your business and your brand over the past sort of 12 years, not only have you gone through changes, the business has gone through changes, but our industry has gone through changes as well. So 12 years ago, you weren't expected to juggle the amount of hats that you probably have to today. So yes, online marketing has always been important, but it's never been something that you had to be an expert at in order to get ahead of the other agents in your town and to remain relevant to your crowd. By outsourcing a certain element of that to Property Stream, that must really sort of take the pressure off you on a day-to-day basis, because I imagine now that your branches and your brand have grown, that's a real monster to keep on top of.
Yeah, it is. And I've got support in the company as well here, that I've got Jack, who's our video kind of on top of the social media for us as well. But he works really closely with Monica, Panilla. Monica does our content writing for a lot of our work. Alex, because of the time that we spent together, he's got so many kind of assets that are kind of just ready to grab as well. But it is nice. We do a monthly catch up, and the monthly catch up allows, you know, all the right people in the Zoom call, allows us to kind of plan out what that next month looks like. So I get frustrated when we miss an opportunity, and that's why I'd rather be a month ahead and have it all kind of scheduled in rather than just rushing in the last couple of minutes to get it sorted. It does. It's one of those things, as most business owners do, you kind of wake up in the night and think, oh, that would work brilliant, write it down somewhere. And then next time, and Alex and Robin have probably had it, you send them an email, this is what I'm thinking, can we grab 10 minutes to talk about it? And it does, it comes together. The point that Alex made about us moving to now kind of pictorial stuff is, and I suppose I should take it as a real pat on the back for the work that they've done for us and what we've come up with, but a lot of the stuff, the stylized icon stuff, has started to be kind of copied by other agents now. And I think that's always going to happen, that once you start to get to that pivotal point where people look up to what your business is doing, they do tend to just put it in their colors and try and use it. But we're working really well, and it's been a fab relationship to kind of keep one step ahead of the game. Of course, with EA Masters, one of the focuses was the website, and I was quite kind of confident and proud going into it, that I thought I've got a website to be kind of really quite proud of. If it was going to be mobile, looked on a mobile or looked on a computer, that actually it would stand up the test of time. And I've got a lot of peers in the industry that have actually come to me for a recommendation, and I endorse 22 Group for their websites, and I think a few of them have taken me up on the nod. So it's really good. It is nice to find the right team. And I know there's other good businesses out there, but once you get that connection with someone who kind of cracks on and does it the way you want it to be done, it does make a difference, big difference.
I think they say that imitation is the highest form of flattery, or something along those lines. It's annoying initially, but let's face it, when you do see other agents that are copying your sort of style, if you like, or the sort of innovative things that you're bringing in, it's nice to have set the pace for the rest of the industry sometimes. Yeah,
I'm not professing to be that high up, but I just think that it is flattery, and you know, I'm sure all ideas are pinched from somewhere, but it's just making sure that once others are starting to use what you've been doing, you need to then look at, right, where we're going to next, and already kind of have that planned out for where you want to be. So, you know, we all do the Christmas Do Not Disturb campaign, don't we? So we've got to make sure that that's on brand for us and it's ready to go over to Rightmove. And those conversations started last month. They started in October rather than in this month. So you just got to keep your options open and keep ahead.
So I'm just going to say as well, David, in terms of pat on the back to Alex, because Matt's website, a couple of years old now, but I still feel it's an industry leading. I think the user experience, the user interface and the layouts and how Alex just simplified everything, so you can get to the pages you need to in the quickest time possible. So if you're a seller, you don't want to go to a landlord's page. So and it's, you know, getting rid of the clutter, getting rid of unnecessary text on that homepage, and just really simplifying it, so it just makes that user journey a lot easier. I still think it's one of the nicest looking and cleanest looking websites in the industry.
And I think that's the point that Alex was making politely, that I probably wanted to have too many tabs and too many words and all that kind of stuff. And Alex, because I trust him, he said, you don't really need all of that. And he actually, we backed it up with real kind of check-in. We used a software, I think, or website called Hotjar, which meant that he could track and show where everyone's clicking. Like, we just got rid of the crud, the ones that I thought we needed, but no one clicked on. They were in the website, they're further in or further down, but the main bits kind of stand out and make it a little bit easier. And a positive endorsement that I can also give is, I've been listing some of my new home stock specifically on my website, but not on Rightmove, because we all know you get one chance at launching it, and it's a bit early to launch it. And if it didn't get loads of interest, or the house isn't quite ready for anyone to see, you could lose that traction when it gets busy. So I've been spending Sundays typically listing my developments on my website only, turning off Rightmove, turning off What House, turning off all the others, and just on my website. And literally days after we're getting inquiries specifically off our website, I see you've got site plan on now. So obviously people are starting to focus on, and I think there was something out there that's saying estate agency websites are getting a little bit more action at the moment. But that was a really positive thing for me, because I'd spent hours on a Sunday doing it, and I'm quite happy to jump on the dashboard and get into the back end of the website and do this. But it was nice to know that people are seeing what I've done within 24 hours of me listing it up there.
I think it's interesting. I think that's obviously massive credit to your developers there, and in terms of SEO hits, obviously, because people are finding your website and they're coming to you and they're seeing your content before it goes onto Rightmove. It's also probably a bit of an endorsement of where the market is at the moment, that stock levels traditionally have been quite low over the past 12 months, that people are starting to now actually scour the estate agents' individual websites, because they feel like they're kind of given up with Rightmove sometimes, because it seems like a catalogue of stock that they're never going to get their hands on. So they'd rather deal with an agent. And I suppose there's also that hyperlocal view that, you know, local people want to sort of focus in on the main agent in their area. And I'm happy to say that's probably Nicol and Co most times, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of us, but we hold our own.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to just one more thing about that site. One thing that Alex managed to do, which I think is absolutely amazing. So it feels very simple, and this is what's part of the magic of it. Very clean, very simple, very intuitive, very easy to navigate. But you know, some of those pages have got 6-7 call to actions, but it doesn't feel shouty and it doesn't feel cluttered. And I think that was a bit of genius in Alex's terms, because sometimes if you're cramming call to actions all over the place, you're like, yeah, it can get a bit in your face and it can get a bit shouty and a bit over the top. But with the way that it's all spaced apart, you know, you're scrolling down, there's another call to action, but it's done in such a sort of clever, sort of, I suppose, subtle way that when you get to the bottom of the page, if you hadn't filled out a form or made an inquiry, then yeah, you missed a trick, because
so it just feels like part of the next step in the journey, as opposed to click here now, click here now.
It's different ways of doing it, from valuations to downloadable guides to, you know, area guides to selling.
Effectively, it's like trying to tell a story or take the user on a journey as they're going through a page. So if they've hit, they've got some recently sold properties, then you're pushing why not get a valuation and find out how much your property is worth. And if they're not ready yet to do that, then we'll provide a lead magnet module, which is guide to selling. So you can get their details with a low level commitment. And it's taking them on that journey, so it just feels natural rather than feeling like we're pushing stuff at them all the time.
Like a member of staff in the office, that's the best analogy for it. You know, always there to help, always there to give advice and offer something of value.
Yeah. Fantastic. So Matt, another question. You've obviously you talked there about getting ahead of the game in terms of what the calendar might look like in terms of events that we all need to get behind and promote. So you might have a sort of a Halloween promotion, you may have pre-Christmas. You mentioned do not disturb campaigns traditionally happen this time of the year, and February there's always that Valentine's Day campaign that agents run. So we know that there are certain key points in the year that you can plan ahead for, but there are also sort of key events that happen, and if the past 2 years has taught us anything, we cannot plan ahead necessarily for every eventuality, and some things genuinely get sprung on us by surprise. What is that delicate balance between being having everything sort of planned in advance, but also being agile enough to perhaps respond to something that's in the press or that's you know, currently happening in your marketplace?
Yeah, I think well, there's a couple of points to be made on that. We've actually took from Josh Fegan during the first lockdown the kind of 11 or 12 reasons that people will need you. So the problems that they face, so divorce, you know, debt, could be upsize, downsize, whatever it might be. And we've done the hard work. We've gone through the process of providing statistics on how we do well. So where our kind of our sweet spot is, number of viewings we take to sell a property, and those bits and pieces. And we've got 12 pages in the background on our website where people will come into land. They get a downloadable guide, and on the downloadable guide, it'll have a bit of our detail about kind of what our track record is on those items. The other sporadic bits that kind of pop up in your face every now and then, because those are scheduled every single month. So each month, this month, I think it is, unfortunately, it's those ones who are finding it tough to pay the bills now. And it's up in, I'm pointing out because that's up in our window cards. It's all over our kind of social media and bits and pieces. For the sporadic things that pop up, it's good to have Pernilla on hand, really. And I wouldn't necessarily bother Robin or Alex with most of those items, but Pernilla seems to be kind of my kind of close connection on those items. And if she needs to pull Mark in, if she needs to pull Monica into a call, we can get that sorted quite quickly. And I do think some events you have to see them come in, you have to be planned for them, but others you just got to be aware of what's going on around you and be quick to react on them. It is good that a retainer, I don't know if we really explained it, but I obviously took on the cost that I had for the website, and I've taken on extra work with the guys. They've done our Akaboom slides for us, they've done our guides for us, and those bits and pieces, but we schedule in every month that we have them on a retainer. So I always get a minimum of, I think, 8 hours at least with the guys, and that, we can work out where that money's going to get spent. And if we need to top up on top, sometimes we do, because of special events coming up, we do so as well. But it's good to know that we can kind of schedule it in and know what we're getting for our money.
I guess there's also been occasions in the past where we've just dropped what we planned on working on and something else took precedence because something's come up that wasn't necessarily expected. And we really wanted to focus on that. So it's been everything else that we're meant to be working on that month that's been scheduled has effectively been deprioritized, and then we've taken that on instead. So we are quite agile in that way, that we can just, we're a small enough team to be able to do that, essentially.
That's fantastic. So Robin, you've got Matt on retainer, 8 hours a month. You've spent most of that money on Christmas trees, I see. What is the future in terms of other agents that could benefit from the same service? Do you find that a sort of a retainer model is where the agents get best value out of your services? Because I'll be honest, with my own personal experience of these things, when you don't give in to your creative direction, and when you don't if you're too precious about it and you're not really sort of letting go and letting somebody else advise you in that field, you sometimes only get half the value, if you like, because you're holding your creative team back.
Yep. So the Christmas tree, nothing I could do about that. But most of the money that Matt spends, nearly all of it goes back on an amazing team. So I just wanted to get that in there. And although Pernilla's not here today, the fact that she has had that agency experience has just been gold dust for us, because helping Matt with that scheduling, working out these sort of really specific marketing offerings, I think is something that's probably unlikely to have that sort of level of detail from someone who's just done websites or branding for however long. So having that sort of agency experience has really made a difference for us. But I think overall, someone who can, a client who can get the best out of the branding, the website, and the marketing, once again, it's worth its weight in gold, because they're just getting the best out of everything we do. And as much as anything, everything's consistent. Just one more thing to add there. We have Jack, who works in-house at Matt. So he has got in-house skills, but it's just working in collaboration with him. I'm a big believer in, if an agent has, another supplier, whatever it is, whether it's digital marketing or even branding, sometimes they've been working with someone for many years. It's working with them as opposed to against them. And I think the fact that we have years and years of experience in the creative and digital industries mean, instead of being like I suppose a competitor, we work as one team, and I think that can make all the difference as well.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
I guess David, on about can you getting the most value for your money, and if a client really does let go and trust us with what we're doing, they do get value for money, because they'll get far more produced in that month than they could get produced if they're making loads of small micro changes and things that aren't really that important. And one of the things that Robin's brought up quite a few times in the past is David from UMove just used to get stuff out there. So he used to just get out and test it with the market, as opposed to making loads of small changes. It might not be 100% right, but it'll be far more effective. So with Matt, we're getting lots out each month, whereas you can get stuck on the retainer basis. You can get a bit stuck where you're not really getting much out because you're focusing on so many changes on one small item.
Yeah, getting it done is always better than procrastinating over these things for months, and certainly in terms of getting marketing messages out, they are timely. They need to go out on time, and the longer you drag these things, the worse it gets, and the more likely is you're gonna not hit directly when you want to. And it sounds like Matt's well ahead of the curve on that, and you guys have got plenty of sort of planning ahead to do. So absolutely fantastic to chat to you all today. Matt, thank you very much. Congratulations again on being an award-winning agent and all-round superstar. Always a pleasure to bump into you face-to-face now at these events. It's superb. And Robin and Alex, thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Thanks,
Cheers.
David.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Matt.
Nice to see you, Matt.